Friday. We're doing Friday's Heroes and Employee of the Week. And we thank, like I said before, everybody that has come out to listen to great stories about our public safety personnel and our civilian employees, if you will call it that, who really go out every day and do great work on behalf of the citizens of Albuquerque. So we're going to start today with our Friday's Hero. And this week's Friday's Hero is Officer Guy Albuquerque. And we're going to be honoring him for his diligent efforts that he took to help a local neighborhood fight back against crime and illegal drugs. This past fall, Officer Albuquerque had a conversation with a community member who had come to the Foothills area substation asking for assistance. The neighbor told Officer Albuquerque about a couple of homes that had become hubs for criminal activity and drugs. This is the part where Guy really went above and beyond. He could have simply made arrangements for fellow officers to drive through the neighborhood and passively bolster the police presence, but instead he dedicated himself to helping his neighborhood by generating graphs. I understand you actually started putting graphs together for the community to use, requesting maps for trafficking the illegal activity in his neighborhood, calculating statistics based on calls for service, and eventually projecting goals and outcomes for this particular initiative. All of this was done in addition to his regular duties, including taking calls and going out for calls for service and providing service to the community. He managed his time so well, in fact, that he created a complete TAC plan for the neighborhood, issued numerous citations of the problem houses, maintained contact with the community, and heightened APD's presence in the neighborhood. The end result of his dedication was that he created a community where each neighbor felt that they were engaged, that they were safer in their home, and as a homeowner, father, and a husband, that peace of mind, frankly, for me is priceless, because this is what we do. I mean, this is how things work. We get the community together with our police officers, and when we have an officer go above and beyond and really help do some of the data gathering and some of the TAC plan monitoring, that really helps these neighborhoods. So we want to thank Guy Albuquerque, our officer today. I'm going to have Chief Warfield come up and say a few more words, and then we have our Friday's Hero coin. So, Chief.
Thank you, sir. Classic example of the quality of employees that the Albuquerque Police Department has. Guy went above and beyond, but this above and beyond effort is on a daily basis. He's not only exemplifying the characters, the qualities of the employees of the Albuquerque Police Department, he's also utilizing those great tools that are being provided to us. Guy, thanks a lot. Nice job. Appreciate your effort in forming partnerships and alliances.
Yes,
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
So what we have is a Friday's Hero coin that we'll be issuing to you, and with our thanks and our gratitude. And this is how it works. Like I said earlier, this is the Albuquerque Police Department working with neighborhoods, working with community leaders, resolving problems out there on the street, because that's where the problems are solved. So we appreciate your efforts, and thanks for your dedication to the department, and appreciate all you're doing. Thanks so much. Stick around, and we'll take a couple of photos here in just a little bit. So let's bring Sarah up, and we'll talk about our Employee of the Week. So our Employee of the Week this week plays a critical role in the day-to-day operations and the functioning of the government. We talk about this a lot. We've got over 6,000 employees in the city of Albuquerque, and each one of them comes to work, and they've dedicated their careers and their lives in many cases to really making this thing go. And a lot of times you don't see or hear about the great work that's going on behind the scenes, and this is where Sarah comes in. You know, there's a quote that says, "Hard work is the true enduring characteristic of successful people." And Sarah really exemplifies that work ethic. Someone who really comes to work and just really works hard every day. And it didn't take long for her motivated spirit to capture the attention of her fellow colleagues. This past December, she received a letter from one of her coworkers complimenting her on the way that she handled what could have been a catastrophic event. About 7,000 employees, frankly, were in line not to get the paychecks. And I can tell you, as a small business person and as someone who spent my life in the private sector, if the checks aren't ready, that's not a good day. And so Sarah and her group at the Central Payroll Processing Department processed the paychecks for the city. They processed the checks for AMAFCA, which is our Arroyo Flood Control Agency, also for MRCOG, Mid-Region Council of Governments. Well, it seemed like a perfect storm. While the group was trying to process payroll during the shortened week of Thanksgiving, the city's server crashed. forcing the group to work off of the backup server, which frankly is significantly is smaller and it's a slower server. Additionally, there was a new version of software that they were working on, and it was in the testing phase, creating several additional layers of difficulty. And I know some of you have covered this in the news. Lou Hoffman and his group, we're spending significant resources at the city of Albuquerque and taking significant time to update our software systems here to make ourselves a better organization. Well, anybody that's ever tried to implement new software at your business or at your company, you know that can be an arduous task. So all of these things came together. But despite all of these challenges, Sarah and her team completed the payroll on Thanksgiving, by the way. All the shopping season gets started there, of course, we know that. And there were plenty of things that could have gone wrong, but despite the chaos and some of the obstacles, they maintained strong leadership. They were calm, and is that true? Calm? Is that really true?
On the surface.
And they stayed dedicated to the task at hand. So her and her team performed seamlessly even in the midst of some of these unforeseen challenges. And I want Lou Hoffman, our director of ITSD, to come up and talk a little bit more about Sarah and just maybe hit on a few of the things that the rest of the team's doing, because Lou's in my office on a regular basis, and we're talking about pushing forward on all these software additions and things, because frankly, things don't get implemented correctly in the first place, and a lot of times, in the case of the city, and I saw it when I was at the state also, if you don't spend the time on the front end of the equation, then somebody 4, 5, 6 years later has to spend a lot of time getting it right, and that's what we're doing a lot of right now in the city of Albuquerque. And that's not anything to do with our employees, but they've got to have the resources to do their job. So tell us a little bit about what's going on, Lou.
Thank you, Mayor. First thing I'd like to do is introduce a couple of more folks that we have with us today. Next to Sarah is Pamela Finelli. She's our accounting officer. And next to Pamela is Jesse Muniz. Jesse's Sarah's supervisor. Obviously part of the critical chain of command that helps support Sarah and make this possible. But what I really would like to add about Sarah is we had an unexpected departure of our payroll supervisor last year, and we really thought we were going to be in a fix. I'd like to say that Sarah stepped up, didn't miss a beat, has done phenomenally since then, and I'm pleased that we're able to recognize her today for the work she did in December on the payroll system. So she's turned into a real go-to person, and I'm pleased as I can be that we have her in the position she's in. Regarding some of the software work we're doing that the mayor alluded to, we're in a major rebuild right now of our ERP, Enterprise Resource Planning System, the PeopleSoft software. With regard to the financial system, we're rebuilding this is going to sound a little jargony, but we're rebuilding our chart of accounts. We're implementing grants accounting, fixed asset accounting, commitment accounting. When they went live with the system in 2009, they really only had implemented about half of the modules that accounting needs to operate. So for the last 4 years, we've basically been doing a lot of bookkeeping instead of accounting, trying to make up for the deficiencies in the system. And by June of this year, we expect to have all that done. And at that point, Mayor, we'll have CAFRs on time.
Yay.
So they're doing a great job.
That was a discussion we had during the transition. and I think, and thanks, Lou, and I think this just speaks to this idea that any large organization or any small organization, you're as good as your folks, and you're as good as the resources and investments that you make. And so much of this isn't things that you see in the headlines normally, because it happens behind the scenes. But if it doesn't happen, we can't function as an organization. And we set some very high goals very early in this administration to talk about bringing this organization, taking the great talent and the great human capital and human resources that we have, giving them the tools. You know, we've implemented more professional development activities at the city of Albuquerque now. We're doing management training programs. We're doing leadership programs. We're actually, the part of this program, is this part of the $9 million? Yes. You know, we asked the taxpayers in our last bond cycle to invest $9 million into getting this where it needs to be, so that we can be more efficient, do more things with less resources, because that's the times that we live in. And wow, you guys are just doing great work with it. So what we have for you is a Employee of the Week mug for coffee to stay awake on those long hours. We also have an Employee of the Week certificate and a letter for your personnel file. So as someone who just likes to come and I like the inside baseball of City Hall in the first place, all the work that goes behind the scenes. As much as I like press conferences and everything else, I love the fact that you guys are down there doing your job, and on behalf of the folks that we serve at the city. So thanks for your leadership.
Thank you.
And congratulations, and give her a round of applause.